anything else I got to say is, how about this, Cowboys? Yeah!
All right, welcome in. It's a live mailbag edition of How About Wow. What are your questions as we get ready for Week 11 against the Raiders? Throw it in the live chat now. If you're watching on Twitter, X, jump on over to YouTube, hit subscribe. If you do want to stay on Twitter, we'd love it if you could follow us here at How About Wow. We go long form 4 times a week. I'm Gavin Dawson for 105 Through the Fan, and the massive football Neanderthal to my side here is the all-academic SEC lineman at Kentucky, New Bear Lesniewski. Buddy, how the heck are you?
This is fun. I'm just retweeting it over on a couple of other places so anybody can find it and ask anything they want. It is a good damn day.
It is. It's outstanding, and I'm excited about this Cowboys defense. But not everybody is that optimistic. Let's start here with, we'll go out to Twitter, actually, DFW Sports Hot Takes. They're asking, will the Cowboys ever win another bleeping game? And I get it. You know, they've looked really bad, but I don't think the defense is going to be remotely as bad as what we saw for the first 9 weeks of the season. So, yes, I'm fairly confident they're going to beat the Raiders, whose offense is atrocious, might be the worst, and they're going to beat the Giants, and they're going to beat the Commanders. After that, I'm not sure if they can roll with the Chargers or the Vikings or that triple-headed monster that they're about to face starting in Week 12.
Yeah, the Eagles don't scare you. That's the thing that's so hard about being a part of rooting against them, or whether it's a rivalry and it's a casual thing. As like an NFL global fan, they don't do anything that makes you go, yeah, we can't beat this team. But then they find a way to win, and they let you beat yourself. So they can beat the Eagles. They can beat anybody who's out there in front of them. It's just a matter of this. How quickly can these you're talking about half a dozen, over 50% of the defense being brand new, coming off of IR, coming from 3 different cities. And man, this is going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think they got the Eagles' number a little bit. Obviously, it's a division opponent. I don't know if Philadelphia has ever swept Dak Prescott when he was healthy. They had their number. This is the big thing with the Eagles is they know, and they helped expose, Jalen Hurts is really not a great passer against zone. Against man, he's like a top 5 quarterback. But this offense has gone stale. It's gone vanilla. I think Sirianni's making a significant mistake by his defense. Not the same defense as last year. I don't think they can defend their way to a Super Bowl title. So I wouldn't be surprised if the Cowboys win that game. Then it gets tough to find like Kansas City, Detroit, San Diego, very good teams.
Right.
After Oakland and Philadelphia for those games.
So my favorite part of this whole thing is you just called them San Diego and Oakland, which I do all the time too. I love the fact that there's multiple teams in LA, and I also think it's ridiculous that there isn't a team in San Diego Superchargers. And then Oakland, LA, Vegas, like Las Vegas Raiders is always going to be weird, but it's always going to be awesome too. It's like the ultimate city paradox. They have to beat the Raiders. Make no mistake about it. They beat the Raiders. Everything's off the table. They might not win another game. Maybe they should play Joe Milton. Like literally anything you want to say, I will entertain.
Yeah. And well, what I want to say right now is get your questions in. If you're watching, this is your opportunity. I mean, we're new. This is our rookie year of podcasting, Dawson and New Bear. And yes, maybe rookie numbers, maybe that term applies a little bit to what we got going on with our subs and our views and our live stream and everything, which presents you a unique opportunity to get your question answered right here and right now when the crowd's still light. But we're making moves and we're fired up for everybody watching. Jim and Prosper asking, how much better is the defense going to be compared to the first 9 weeks? Wanting to follow up on what I said a few minutes ago. I think a lot better, maybe 5 to 7 points better, like somewhere between 24 and 26 points per game allowed is what I'm expecting. And that's not great defense. Obviously, there's a number of them holding teams under 20 right now, but that would put you like roughly at the tail end of the middle third of NFL defenses. You know, some games in the first 9 weeks, you couldn't rush the passer at all. the coverage breakdowns, especially when you got into depth defensive backs that really should have been on NFL practice squads that were out there starting for the Cowboys. They were horrible breakdowns. The linebacker and safety combination, really, since Wilson and Hooker went out, was probably the absolute worst in the NFL. Osa's not good against the run. Kenny Clark was even getting pushed a little bit. Like up the middle, they are 2 or 3 times better than what they were. And then you add in the fact that Ezra Raku's coming on strong. I think this defense can make a strong push for the final 8 games playing at about league average. What about you?
Well, we talked about if they could get league average defense, this Super Bowl team. Maybe the better question is this defense good enough to go 6-2, 7-1, and to get in to the playoffs so you have a chance to go fight to win the damn thing? Because it sure would be something, right? If they were to go 6-2, 7-1, and they had flubbed so bad so far that, in particularly, the Bears one right now doesn't look that bad, but there's some ugly stats, Caleb Williams, not just in the NFL but in college, about winning teams and top defenses that a lot of people see a collapse coming for Chicago. But right now, they control their own destiny, and they look as dangerous as anybody. The Carolina and Arizona wins are inexcusable. And in particularly the Arizona one with Jacoby Brissett, because at least with Carolina, you can say Rico Dowdle's a dude and Bryce Young had a day, and that's going to happen every once in a while. But to go in and play a backup quarterback, backup running back, back, it's ridiculous. And to do it in embarrassing fashion where it wasn't like a shootout and Jacoby Brissett just had one of those Russell Wilson early season moments that anybody can have at any given time. So if they can get to league average, is that good enough to get them into the playoffs?
Man, so I'm thinking they got to go 6-2 to make the playoffs. I don't know if a league average defense can carry you to that without the offense being out freaking standing. And over the last 2 weeks before the bye, this trend really started to catch up with them that we saw in Carolina, that we saw in Chicago. Like 4 of the 9 games have not been good offensively. And now when you look at some of the efficiency numbers, like namely a relative DVOA that controls for your schedule strength, they have the Cowboys now out of the top 10 in offensive efficiency. I was worried in the offseason that your poor play at tackle would put Dak under too much pressure, speed him up, and take away his space. And for the first month or 6 weeks of the season, I thought, wow, I was wrong. This is awesome. Salute to Clayton Adams and Dak Prescott for figuring out how to play below average tackles. But the last couple of weeks, I don't know if the defense has the book's gotten out or they figured out how to beat these tackles, or maybe they were just bad matchups. But I really need to see my faith restored in the offense to start building a case. Like I'm more confident the defense is going to be better than the offense can get close to what it was or what we thought it was. This offense might be closer to league average than number 1 in the NFL.
Well, I said coming back when CD started coming back, we were going to find out if he was really Dak's favorite. Like, who really is the favorite child? You're not supposed to have a favorite. You're supposed to love them all the same. But if you have kids, it's just, it happens how it happens. And sometimes they pick you and you don't have a choice.
Some weeks you like one better,
Every week, literally every time that George Pickens is singled up, Dak has said he has to throw him the ball. And when you go back through and you watch the film and you watch the breakdowns, particularly in the red zone extended, when you have a chance to score, when you're right there on the doorstep, if you're not going to just go Javonte Williams, hammer and nail, come what may, leave it on the 1-inch line if you don't get in, this is a man's game, then it has to be GP3 when he's singled up. Like, and Dak has said that. He's come to the podium a couple times and talked about how, as good as anyone else may be, with CD being an all-pro and Ferguson at one time on pace to break every receiving record that existed at the tight end position and getting contributions from all these other dudes, there's only one like George Pickens one-on-one, he needs 18 targets.
Yeah, I agree. And we'll talk about this maybe a little bit later on. Actually, let's jump to this question right now. As a matter of fact, I'm starting to stack up these questions that are coming in on Twitter. But if the question is, how sure are you George Pickens is going to be back next year? I think this is a perfect segue into that. True or false? The Cowboys offense has looked the best when actually CeeDee Lamb was out and it was only George Pickens. And it's a ridiculous idea to suggest that you take away CeeDee Lamb and somehow your offense is better. I just use that as a way of illustrating the point that with wide receiver number ones, it's rare that 1 + 1 = 2. Maybe Jamar Chase has pulled it off with T. Higgins in Cincinnati. Maybe in Minnesota, they have pulled it off with Jefferson and Addison and one of the greatest offensive minds in football and O'Connell. But even then, I think if you're going major money at both wide receiver spots, I don't think you're distributing your assets the best. And then if you look at how the Cowboys did, that money would be better spent. Let me say this. That money would be better spent for George Pickens at tackles, at corner, at safety, maybe at another linebacker spot. And if you could, here's the thing, I would love to see the Cowboys consider, you tag and trade him. You get at least 1-1 for George Pickens, probably a 1 and a 3. Like, this would be the greatest flip since the Herschel Walker great train robbery, where they took those players and turned them into draft picks. This would be the second best flip, to give up a 3 for George Pickens, get all that back, and then use that money and picks to really build a balanced football team. That would be what I would be thinking. I don't know how the Cowboys are going to approach this right now.
Yeah. So when everyone talks about Bo Jackson, Tecmo Bowl, I also was a huge Eagles fan. Come at me in the comments if you need to, but Randall Cunningham, QB Eagles, and all those dudes, Reggie White on down, such a fun team to play with. So everyone wanted to be Bo Jackson. You had to go find another team that you could go beat the brakes off Bo Jackson with. One of my other favorite teams to play with was Houston, Warren Moon, right? You go run and shoot. And Haywood Jeffries, Drew Hill, Ernest Givens, Curtis Duncan, Alan Pinkett, Lorenzo White. Dude, I think they were like 4 or 5 yards away from having 3,000-yard receivers. Haywood, and he caught 100 balls and led the league, and that was something that just didn't happen back then. And then Drew Hill, right? Not the R&B group, but the wide receiver in the best wide receiver group of the 90s. They were just nasty. Everybody ate, though. Like, it was, 190, 70. Like, I think the discrepancy in Dallas has been for years that CD was going to get 180, maybe 200 targets, and then everyone else was just going to get table scraps. Ferguson's been hurt. They're really, everybody who was supposed to step up and take the reins at wide receiver 2 in and out of the lineup for different reasons. Now you have 2 1s. You got to feed them both. But the end of the day, like, it's not about forcing balls to CD like Dak was early. And we were talking about how he was putting balls in impossible windows and CD was doing all these awesome things. When George Pickens is singled up, that's where you have to force the ball. That's when you have to take okay, you know what? This play is designed to the wide side. This is how this route combination is going to rub a pick play, whatever it is. And this is who's going to come clean. If George Pickens is backside one-on-one, you throw him the fucking ball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And I would love to look back into the 90s and see how many teams were able to pull off something similar without an elite offensive line. Like, it is doable, but I don't think it's doable in under 2.5, 3 seconds like the Cowboys have.
I don't know if I answered your question, because you were asking about 2 1s, and I think the reason I'm being stubborn and focusing on Pickens is because of what you asked about parallel, about the offense being better when CD was down. CeeDee Lamb might be a more complete receiver, better, depending on how you want to look. But the thing is, like, Pickens is what he is and is so physically dominant that when CD goes down, everyone else has a role, and then the role players can slot in and step up, right? Like, it was just clear. Right now, it's muddy as bleep, where you don't know the buddy cop movie. How much of that is gaslighting? How much of that is genuine? How much does Dak feel that the pressure in the huddle when the play is called, when you go through a week of practice? So, like, going forward, the real question isn't who's better. They're going to cost about the same. You could get about the same for them when you go to move them if you were to put them in a trade. The real question is, which alpha makes all the betas slot in a way that you want to run this thing?
It's hard to call it. It's way too hard to call it. But I think the great news for George Pickens is he's in the conversation for best 5 wide receivers in the game as well with what he's done. And it's just it's a great situation to be in, because I don't really think there is a wrong answer to how the Cowboys might approach this. New people in here, thank you for checking us out here on How About Wow. Please smash the like button or share it on Twitter. That would be amazing. Jump over on YouTube at How About Wow and subscribe. We go live 4 times a week. And again, I'm Gavin Dawson from The Fan. He is New Bear Lesniewski, the all-academic SEC lineman at Kentucky. I like to say he's my favorite football Neanderthal. Sam in Arlington. Oh, wow. I was waiting for this question. And we should probably stop down and acknowledge that we don't want to be cold or insensitive answering it, but he wants to know, what impact on the football field will Marshawn Nealon's passing have? What impact could, did you ever lose a teammate? Did you ever have a tragedy happen in the middle of your football season or career? And what impact did that have?
Death, no, but like football death, which is not the same thing, to your point about like the devastating injury, right? Or a severe family issue or mental health crisis, or short of someone not being here anymore. I think anytime that happens, and we're talking about off the field, is that a galvanizing thing, a galvanizing force, or is it a distraction? And that's crude and that's crass. But the business doesn't stop moving, right? The clock doesn't stop ticking. Everyone else just keeps moving forward. And there's going to be a bell that's going to ring. There's going to be a price to pay in this game on Monday night. And as you unpack it and you see Shoddy crying at the podium and you see guys talking about, they had multiple days off. Like this has hit them. This has hurt them.
Big
but
time.
now you're starting to see them emerge from that and talk about keeping his light alive and playing for his energy, keeping everything that was just so great and the things that all make this so hard around, alive, going, the spirit of this guy that was so infectious, that had everyone talking about things way beyond the talent and the football character and leadership, and just a dude that you want to go have a beer with, put an arm around, have him put his arm around you. Now these guys got to go put their arm around each other collectively and use this as a thing where you never know. You talk about that cliche about how, when it's going to be your last football play. And one of the things that's making the rounds today was Rick Pitino and other coaches, whatever your favorite sport is, whatever your favorite version of the speech is, but don't count the reps, make the reps count, cherish every day, because the end is coming. And you just never know when that day is going to come, but it is coming. That is the only certainty. And as long as you're here in this window, not fake it till you make it, not smile your way through it, not, grit your teeth through the pain, but go out there and give all of that you're dealing with inside you to the game.
Yeah, it has a way of giving perspective or a higher purpose for the team. And as Shoddy said, they're not going to move on, but they're going to move forward. So I guess that idea kind of lends itself to this conversation. The last time we saw this, when I believe 2013 season, we had the Jerry Brown tragedy, just an incredibly sad story. And Josh Brent survived that, and tracking that story, he still works for the Cowboys. It was very powerful, but they went to Cincinnati, I think the same day or within 24 hours, had a very impressive win against a good Bengals team that year. And then the next week they beat the Steelers. And the narrative at the time was it was a moment that it kind of galvanized the team. I don't know. This throws a massive wrench into the team. I do feel like it's been hard to say for sure that the defense has bought in, or they were together, or there wasn't some give up with the Trayvon Diggs situation and some of the disappointments on the back end. Maybe the offense was pressing too much. So maybe this is just a moment for a good reset. Speaking of resetting, it's How About Wow here on YouTube and Twitter. We got a live stream going, a live chat. Dustin Roberts says, what up to you, buddy? Let's get some more questions flowing in. Gary listening in Scottsdale, Arizona. Are we assuming this is going to be easy for the linebackers? I think that's a great point because this
Logan Wilson's played in the system. I mean, this is what he does. I mean, he is a. I know people talk about there isn't that much difference in the 40 time. There isn't that much. He is a more athletic. He is a more version of Jack Sanborn. Did he play for Eberflus in Chicago? No, that's why Sanborn's here. So if you have a dude who's just like that and he's a little bit more instinctive and he can get there a little bit faster, that should be a little bit better.
Yeah, it should. And, again, like I said at the top of this, I think their safety linebacker combo over the last month or so has been the worst in the NFL. I don't think Logan Wilson's going to be that bad, but maybe it's going to be a more difficult transition for him. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be fairly easy. Maybe my bigger question is how close to Overshown's peak is he going to be coming back from a significant knee injury?
The pitch count is what I'm interested with him and what the usage is, because he can't just be out there to be out there, and he can't be out there to be like, oh, well, let's give him 5 plays of this and 5 plays of that. You've got to put him in a position to trust the leg, to go forward, to fire, to leave nothing, to consideration where he's worried about, oh, I'm not sure if I can do this. Like whatever you've practiced, whatever he's comfortable with, when you ask a quarterback, what do you like? There's that great clip of Bledsoe going to Brady and all Brady lists are passes when he's going to get in finally. And he's, I like sticks. And Bledsoe's like, you just want to throw it on every play, right? Like we need the equivalent of that with Overshown. If he's blitzing and he feels good doing that, great. If he doesn't feel good or trust something, throw it out, put somebody else in the game.
What about the Quinnen Williams factor? Just the fact that now these linebackers are going to be able to run more free. Maybe not totally free. Maybe this isn't a paradise, and obviously Quinnen's going to lose reps, and Osa's still going to be in there. And if they catch you running the ball at Osa, it might get blown up, and you might have a center running at you or a guard running at you. But I do believe the Quinnen Williams factor is going to free these guys up significantly as well.
Not that I think Osa is dogging it, but if there is anything left for him to dig a little deeper. I mean, they traded for Kenny Clark. They traded for Quinnen Williams. Everyone's talking about how they're not going to keep 3 $20 million tackles. They just signed you. How secure do you feel? Like whatever he has, whatever he's capable of, it better be 11 out of 10 no notes.
Quinnen Williams can rush the passer a little bit. Dustin adds here on the live chat, I'm interested to see if this potentially does free up Osa, and I think it will. I mean, Osa's been amongst the most double-team defensive tackles in the NFL this season, and you can't help but think now offensive coordinators are going to be thinking, man, we need to move that help over to Quinnen.
Well, and Quinnen Williams is one of the best at defeating double teams. Quinnen Williams is one of the best at not only do you have to do it, but he can still hurt you even if you throw 2 at him.
Okay, elsewhere here on How About Wow, is Javonte Williams our running back for the future? How impressed are you with what he's done? I think he's top 4 or top 3 in the NFL in yards after contact. He's been great. I think he's a good fit for this system. He runs patient, he runs smart, he runs strong. And I would like him back, but I think the Cowboys have shown the last 2 seasons with Rico Dowdle and Javonte Williams, they can find a runner. And I would not get talked into spending more money on Javonte Williams than I'm comfortable with, especially because he'll be 28 next year. He's got a couple injuries in his past.
Yeah, I love what he's done. I love what he's doing. What the most telling thing is for me right now is when they get off game flow and game script, they don't look at him as a guy who can get them back into it. They have to turn to Dak. Whereas when you're in Detroit, if you go down 10, 14, you still run Jahmyr Gibbs. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't think Williams is a guy. I think Williams is a guy they believe can do everything they ask him to do, but he's not going to give you anything extra. My big thing is, what's the tag going to cost? What's it going to cost? Because you wouldn't give up a 3 at the deadline to go get a Breece Hall. Because the difference between a Javonte Williams and a Breece Hall, talent alone, game breaking alone, is, I mean, it's literally the same conversation from Williams to Dowdle, like you already brought up. If you're just going to keep doing that, first and foremost, how much does Williams really want? Or how much does the other replacement level version of him need? But then what's the difference between that and Breece Hall?
Yeah, I mean, yes. I guess the difference at Breece Hall is the money is going to be another 50 to 100% more. Like
100%, yeah.
Yeah, so I feel like the Cowboys are going to be more urgent. They're going to spend more money. They've been more aggressive making trades and bringing in talented players, but I can't assume they're going to go out there with an open checkbook and really be willing to overspend for positions. When they
I thought you just traded George Pickens and freed up $33 million and got a one, and now I have money to spend.
Yeah, I get that point, but I like the idea of getting very similar production. Like running back is the spot where you can get 95% of the production for 10% of the money compared to the absolute top. Saquon,
right, so let me ask,
money. Yeah.
I knew you were going to do that. So what about Super Bowl, though? Do you think the Eagles give a flying bleep that they're going to be on the hook for Saquon when he's not worth the money, when the value isn't the value anymore because they have another Lombardi?
What is the true price of that trophy? Because it worked, but this year Saquon Barkley isn't good. Like that could have happened to them last year. I don't know if Kellen Moore is the secret sauce that tied that all together, or losing Mekhi Becton, the injury status of Landon Dickerson. Like something slowed that down significantly. The Eagles
How about not throwing the ball to AJ Brown.
Well, that hurts too. That does hurt too, but it's not like they were lighting the league on fire in 2024 like they did in 2023. They scaled back their offense, played more conservatively. It's kind of Mike Tomlin ball up there in Pittsburgh as well. It's ugly. You hate to see it. Well, I love to see it because I don't think Philly can win the Super Bowl like this. Like I said,
hey man, I don't think Nike ever intended this, but love, hurts is a double entendre all its own.
Okay, we got Brandon Crislip weighing in here. It's a live stream Q&A.
All name team.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Do we expect Perry and Winfrey to suit up finally? Also, what's the word on Solomon Thomas? Solomon Thomas missing practice today with a calf. Broadus was looking for more information on that. He's got sources, but I mean, calves are one of those tricky things, so I wouldn't expect him to play. It's kind of perfect timing that you add Quinnen Williams in here, but I'd love to see Perry and Winfrey in. You know, that is a very disruptive, twitchier type of dude that still has plenty of power.
Well, and also one of those dudes where based on how his career has gone and the off-field transgressions, not many more bites at the apple. Like this dude has got to come in, make plays, because basically until he finally gets paid, he's going to be playing for his NFL future as long as the present exists. And like he's running out of time relative to, you know, the willingness of people to look past things based on your age, your productivity, your potential. Like that stops real quick if he doesn't. It's put up or shut up.
Yeah, it is put up or shut up time. He had the back in training camp. I have heard, though, that he's been ready. And then to Dustin's other question up there, I've heard that Josh Butler is ready as well. And they're kind of looking around like, hey, you know, when am I going to get my shot? I think the way that the defense was playing, your need for pass rush should have already pushed Perry and Winfrey in there. Josh Butler, I think, runs a 4.7 40, and he had been just butt earlier in his career. But last year when he played 3 or 4 games, maybe before he tore his ACL, he was playing as one of the best corners the Cowboys had out there. He gave you physicality. He gave you run stopping. I really like Josh Butler, and I was hoping to see him. I don't know if we're going to see him at this point now that Kalen Carson debuted and was pretty good in his 27 snaps or whatever he had. And, you know, you're getting a little bit healthier back there. I don't know what the plan is for Josh Butler. I'm surprised he hasn't been out there yet.
Can we go to Lunatic next about Flus?
Yeah, you grew up in Chicago land. I know you follow the Bears closely. He wants to know how much confidence in Eberflus do you have with the new additions?
I think the Flus is the quintessential, like, people want to say players play and coaches coach. You got to have good players. Like, if you don't have good players, look at where he's been when he's had good players. When he's had Pro Bowl guys at every level, it's one of the better defenses in the league. They take the ball away. They're disruptive. They give you a chance, and that's all Dak, CD, GP, and company are asking for is how about a game where we can go out there and if we have 4th and goal, we can kick a field goal. If that's the choice, like we have a choice, because right now the choice is go for it. Right now the choice is put yourself in a precarious situation because you start there from the jump where as soon as something goes wrong, you're just assuming that something else is already going to go wrong. Like it's the worst place to be in when you know you have to be perfect because even if you're really freaking good, you're still going to lose.
Okay, we got this question here. How do you guys, this is Calvin Jefferson. Let's go to this one. How do you guys feel about number 22, believe he's referring to Emmitt Smith in this situation, saying there are DCs to get.
Yeah. So this is interesting because I'm confident in Flus if Flus has the guys, right? Everyone's been bitch moaning and complaining that Diggs man, Bland man, and Kyer Elam man, and you got this zone defensive coordinator. And I get that. It's that makes sense. At the same time, when you look at what they're going to do moving forward, do we just assume that if there was a press man guy, if we were just going to bring in, cover 1, cover 3, cover 5, even like super aggressive and how much zero man free can we play guy, that Diggs is all of a sudden going to return to form? Like, his body is broken. Bland is a matchup dependent guy, and Elam is still failing to deliver on the promise of his potential. I mean, you've talked all season about the replacement level guys, the street free agents, the late round picks. Like, some of those dudes have arguably been your best corners so far, and none of these guys might be on the team in 2026.
Yeah. Okay. So I found this on Cowboys Wire, and salute to Todd Brock for banging this out. If you want to jump on there and read more in depth of what Emmitt Smith has to say, I do feel strongly that no coach is good enough to overcome bad personnel, and that's what the Cowboys have had. So I think Matt Eberflus deserves more time. He has such an accomplished history with the Colts, with the Bears, and then going back to his time as linebackers coach with the Cowboys. I think it's entirely possible, especially year one. Like Mike Zimmer even said when he took the job last year, I can't come in here and work miracles instantly. It took him half the season. And if you went back and studied Mike Zimmer's history, every time he took over a new job, year one was pretty below average. And it wasn't until year two that, the benefits of having a defensive coordinator like Mike Zimmer really came to bear. So I just think it's an incomplete, it's too early to call it on Matt Eberflus, but there's no way to believe that he would have suddenly lost the ability.
Look at Lou Anarumo. I mean, he was getting laughed out of Cincinnati. They literally kept Joe Burrow from winning an MVP. That's how bad their defense was last year. Now, all of a sudden, he's back to being a mad genius with Danny Dimes as the quarterback because it's a complete team and because they're playing together. And quite frankly, because the owner has the headset on and she's not letting anyone gaslight anyone. And it might be the most accountable organization in the league. Still think the Sauce Gardner trade was insane, but when you feel like you're close, you got to go.
All right, here on How About Wow, we like to go about 30 minutes, and maybe in the future we'll go longer as more and more questions start to roll in, but cannot thank you guys enough. If you're on your way out, hit that like button. Come over, subscribe on YouTube at How About Wow. I'm Gavin Dawson from The Fan. He is New Bear Lesniewski, the all-academic SEC lineman from Kentucky, the biggest football brain in the world, and that's not just because he has the biggest hat size in the world.
Man, you're close. For as different as we are as body types, I could not believe that I could almost your head is almost as big as mine.
Yeah, what is yours? An 8?
It's every bit of an 8.
Yeah, probably an 8 1/4. I think I'm like 7 5/8.
Yeah, sometimes I need if it's an 8, sometimes you got to sweat in it a little bit and stretch, but every bit of an 8.
Can you hear these cold beers when I crack them?
Yeah, let's go, baby.
All right. Cold beer's coming up for anybody that needs one. We'll be back real soon, probably Saturday night into Sunday morning with a preview of Cowboys Raiders. And until then, for New Bear, I'm Dawson. How about Wow, Cowboys?